little special recognition. So the 10 and 10 and 10 marathon is going on May 23rd in Regina, Saskatchewan. We've been a sponsor of it. So we sponsor the race in Regina. The full raise fundraising was at 739,000 out of their 1 million goal, and all proceeds are going to some autism foundations as well as Kids Sport and Big Brothers Big Sisters. So a big shout out to Mike Hansen and Dave Morin. So I will see you on the 23rd. So today we are continuing our community and care series through the Autism Services of Saskatoon Foundation. So we have Olivia O'Neal on today, mental health and wellness team manager at Autism Services. I don't want to give your biography because, to tell you the truth, we've been involved in a lot of the services at Autism Services, and this is one of the ones we haven't. So it's a bit of a surprise for Amy and I today. So I want you to take it away and give us a bit of your background, the story of how you joined Autism Services, and then what you do today.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I am Olivia O'Neal, the manager of our mental health and wellness team here at Autism Services. And I've been working here for 9 years. This week actually is my 9-year anniversary. So I started off as a behavior therapist with the Autism Intervention Program. And then I was in that role for about a year and a half. And then I moved into the Northern consultant position. And then I worked in that position for a few years as well. And then I moved over to a counselor position with our mental health and wellness team. So the mental health team, it's, I would say, like one of the newer teams within the organization. So we had a social worker and a counselor for a long while. Then a counselor joined, and then I moved into that position in 2019. It was, and then thankfully we got some more funding in would have been 2020, 2021. We were able to expand the team, and so then I moved into the manager role in 2021. We were able to hire on another social worker, and since then we've been able to expand even more. So we've got 3 full-time counselors, a social worker, intake worker, and then myself as the manager, and also carrying a caseload on our mental health team. So over the last few years we've expanded, which has been great, and that's kind of my history with the organization and how I'm now in the manager role with the mental health team.
Wow. So you have your own intake coordinator for the mental health and wellness team unit. So if I just had an Autism Services membership, could I go straight to the mental health and wellness intake, or do I have to do the general intake first and then get referred through? How does that work?
That's a good question. So we do have, it's just one, we've got one full-time intake worker who does kind of all of our agency intakes. And we also have a part-time intake worker. So one of the social workers on our team, she does part-time intake, and she would do all of the intakes for our adult clients. So with our mental health team, we provide mental health support to children, adults, and to parents as well. But our mental health team, so our social worker, she's currently on education leave, and one of our counselors is kind of covering for her at the moment. But they would do all of the intakes for the adults and some for the children and youth as well. So the full-time intake worker and half-time, they both kind of fall within our mental health team, but they would do intake for the entire organization. So the process would be to come through that general intake.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people will they will get assigned a member of the mental health team if they're seeking mental health support, be it like the child or adult, or if it's for parent. And they might also get assigned a consultant as well for support, again, depending on need and how old they are. Or sometimes our consultants will refer directly to our mental health team. So if it's a family or client that are already connected with us and they want to get connected with our counseling support or any kind of support through our mental health team, the consultants can put a referral directly in as well. So if they're already connected with us, they wouldn't have to go through an intake again. We would just do kind of an internal referral over for that.
Right. So having a consultant would be beneficial as a start, just to help you navigate through what's kind of available to you, or what would be better which service would maybe suit your needs the best.
Yeah, so like usually at the time of intake, like during the intake appointment, our intake workers are kind of asking those questions to find out what supports will be most beneficial. And so some people are getting assigned someone from the mental health team, like a counselor or social worker, like right at that time of intake, in that kind of intake meeting that we would have. So for many, they get connected right away, but for some, like if they say they came through a few years ago, there wasn't really a need for mental health support at the time, but now a few years later, a parent is seeking support, or maybe parents seeking support for their child, then the consultant can put that referral through. So it just kind of depends what part of the process
Right.
they're at, like if they're coming right through intake or if they've been connected for a while and are now seeking that mental health support.
So before Amy takes you too deep dive here,
Yeah.
I want you to back up a little bit and give me, like, we talk about mental health. What give me not a definition, but give me an example of what a mental health service would be or would look like, I guess, just for the people listening.
Yeah, sure. So within our mental health and wellness team, the mental health support that we would offer, a lot of it is counseling support. So that would be like one-to-one counseling support. Kind of the approach or like way that we would support would look different depending on the person's needs. So depending on communication needs, how old they are, whether they prefer kind of more that talk therapy approach or if they prefer more that practical skill building or more kind of behavioral support. Like we kind of adapt how we support based on what the person needs and what's going to work best for them, and we try and make sure that that support is very like person centered and strengths based, so that they are that they're really sharing what they want and that we're matching that for them. So yeah, a lot of it will be that individual support with with children and with adults. Often it can be individual. Sometimes it's more, even for the children, it might be more kind of parent involved. So like parent and child together, or it might be just working with the parent, giving them some tools to support their child at home. For example, if their child's experiencing like a lot of anxiety and parent wants some kind of tips and tricks to kind of support them through some of that. Sometimes we'll collaborate with the autism consultant because like often different kind of approaches can be helpful, right? More behavioral approach, more kind of mental health based approach. It really depends on what's going to work for that person. And then we also offer some group supports as well. So right now, one of our counselors, she's running a parent support group. So that is an option for parents. They're meeting weekly on Zoom for that connection together and that group. It just started a couple of weeks ago, so it's still a newer group. And we've also ran some groups for adult clients, so kind of more peer support and skill building around building mental health tools. We've run an anxiety group for children and a kind of narrative therapy group for some of the teenagers. So yeah, mainly individual counseling, group support, and a lot of it will be like building skills. To like a big area that we provide support in is anxiety. So that anxiety and emotional regulation and supporting with kind of burnout, masking, so a variety of different topics. And then if someone needs more support, then we can refer on if we need to as well, if they need kind of more specialized support outside of what we can provide. But yeah, a few different things that we would support.
All I was thinking, she said burnout, and I'm like, what's that?
Yeah. I was going to ask you about some of the most common like mental health challenges faced by individuals and families with autism. And you've mentioned anxiety already a couple of times. I'm wondering if that one's kind of like pretty high up on your list, and that emotional regulation piece as well would be like probably some of the more common issues that you're seeing, I guess,
Yeah,
as a
absolutely.
commonality amongst your clients, I guess.
Yeah, it is quite common for autistic individuals to experience anxiety or just to have kind of a mental health diagnosis along with ASD is really common. I think like 70 to 80% of individuals with autism, that's kind of what the research points to, also kind of meet the criteria for a mental health diagnosis. So like that could be ASD or depression or ADHD, even like other things outside of ASD.
Our children, they're 11 and 13, and our youngest has a generalized anxiety disorder along with his autism diagnosis, and they both take medication for anxiety and depressive type behaviors. So I could see, like, even just in our little household, the two people that we're dealing with also experience mental health. And I mean, they can't tell us, they're nonverbal. And so I'm assuming that that would be something that families with individuals maybe that are a little bit more severely affected would, they can't tell you, but there may be some like common signs and indicators or things like that that people might typically see when a child might be struggling with mental health. Like sometimes behavior isn't just behavior, it's usually communicating a need of some sort. And so it's nice that you do have that mental health component now at Autism Services, because sometimes what you think is just a bad day or something that's difficult for your child, there's something underlying there that was getting missed before this service was here. So it's really nice to see that within the last 10 years, mental health is getting some support through
No,
Autism
it's so
Services.
important.
How many clients do you currently serve with, like, through the mental health kind of wellness out of Autism Services? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know the number right offhand,
Yeah.
but I should, because we just did our like fiscal year stats. But I know that I would say over 200. I would say, like,
Yeah.
kind of actively we would be supporting, and like that would be kind of actively. We do also have a wait list of individuals kind of waiting for that counseling support, or maybe like waiting for a group that they're interested in. But like the type of support that we're offering kind of looks different. So like not everybody would be in here like every week for like one-to-one counseling. Some of them we might be kind of consulting more, or, parents reaching out kind of as needed for resources or to touch base. But we've definitely seen like a growing need for the mental health support. And
Do you have any like partnerships or other communities in the city that you collaborate with to, like, maybe you could refer them out somewhere, like if your wait list is gigantic, or you think, oh, okay, you know what, I see this need happening for this individual, maybe they would be a better fit over here or whatever. Is that something that happens through the mental health?
yes, yeah, we do. We do at times refer to mental health and addiction services, so like the children, youth, or adult teams there for additional support, especially if there's more acute mental health concerns, like if they're needing more immediate or urgent support, then we would refer on, or if they're needing more kind of specialized kind of intervention outside of what we can offer, kind of outside of our scope here. So yeah, we do often refer there, and we do, like, for families that have the individualized funding, often we'll send info on their psychologists, social workers, play therapists, like a variety of clinicians on the ASD service provider registry that we can pass along to for families that want to access services privately, and be that through funding or other funding streams. So yeah, we are often sharing resources or making referrals elsewhere, within the health authority, as needed too, just to make sure that the needs are being met more urgently when it's necessary.
So obviously you're talking to two parents here of two boys that have both behavior regulation issues as well as anxiety. And so I'm more interested on the side of the mental health side of the parenting, and what resources and tools, I guess, you guys, not individual ones, but how you approach that with, for example, our family with two children who can't tell us, as Amy kind of mentioned, of how you go about some of the mental health work with those families.
Yeah. So I think, like, there's different components to that, right? So one part would be kind of looking at supporting you guys with tools so that you can support the boys, or so parents can support their kiddos, but then also your own mental health and how you're supporting that. That's also extremely important, right? So around like stress management and burnout, and how you are and how you're supporting yourself. So we would want to support kind of both realms for sure. And so sometimes, that might look like meeting with parents individually and just speaking about what's going on for you, and doing some skill building around that. In our the parent education series. So our mental health team, we kind of fall within the autism intervention program, and there's the parent education series that we offer, and we have a session in there on ASD and mental health, and so that covers kind of some strategies that parents can use to support children at home, like some general strategies, and then the same like strategies for parents. So I guess on the parent side, we will be looking at like self-care, like those different realms of self-care, and how are you doing within those realms? Like, are you supporting yourself kind of holistically within all of those realms? We also go through resources and information on like respite and how to access that, so that parents, if they need to access respite and need that break, that they have information and kind of know how to explore that.
That's
And then
very helpful. Like
yeah,
just being like to parents, hey, it's possible to have a break and we're going to help you manage that or help you find somebody who might be a good fit to relieve you for a couple of hours. Like I know for us, well, for me, I guess I'm going to say having actual humans come and help me has is just been the most valuable tool that I've had in my home. Like whether it was somebody who came to my home or we came to the office and somebody worked with my kid instead of or worked with me help my child, like actual tangible things we can do. I just found so much more beneficial than just like watch this slideshow, here's this video, fill out this questionnaire, do whatever. Like, I just find like humans working with humans, helping humans, it's just been like, for me, the most valuable thing. So when you say like, hey, we have these parent groups, we have these sibling groups, we have one-on-one counseling if you need it, we have like uh, opportunities to possibly connect you with some respite or at least help you navigate that to figure it out for yourself. Like it just makes you feel like you're not doing everything by yourself. So thank you for that.
Yeah, because I would say that was part of the journey that we had to figure out on our own, and I say we very lightly. Amy had to figure out a lot of it was getting respite into the house and qualifying respite to make sure they were a fit with the kids. And to tell you the truth, today we have individuals that come and help us, and I highly recommend it for anybody listening. But that they love our kids almost as much as our kids love them, and they know the therapies by now. Like they are the reason that Amy and I can come on here and say that we are still we're still moving forward. Let's put it that way, is the people in our lives that have helped.
it's so important. Yeah, that's fantastic that you guys have found respite workers and supports that are a good fit and that work well for your family. Like I think, it's crucial. Yeah. So that, you guys can have that break and support your own mental health and self-care.
So how do you see, like you said, you work with obviously children all the way through adults and families. So how do you see the needs change as they age up? Like going from, for example, what we're dealing with, which is a lot of anxiety, some behavior issues, moving through into their adult life. So how do you see that lifespan change over time?
Yeah. I think like what you mentioned there, just like change over time can be huge, like especially giving like different transitions that can come up. So like transitioning like into high school or into adulthood, if it means like moving home, moving to university, like whatever that might be for that individual, it that can come with stress and that can come with anxiety and moving through those changes. So I we definitely see, I would say, when like big changes come up, that individuals might need more support. But another area too, like relationships and friendships, like that can change too as people kind of move through life and navigate that. So be that romantic relationships as people move into adulthood, or like for some of the adults we support, it's like they're starting families, or they are moving into bigger stages of life where they need a bit more support. So some of that natural like stress and change and anxiety that can come along with that, we would support with. I think there's also like lots of positives too that can come with that. Like for some individuals, like maybe they move from elementary school into high school and they meet like a solid group of friends that they really connect with and that they feel really accepted by, and that can be super positive for their mental health. So I say we definitely see the environmental like changes, right, based on like home and school or workplace, and how that impacts somebody's mental health. And also the social support around them, be it from like family, friends, colleagues, how those are all like really, really healthy barriers to mental health as well, having that social support. And I find, like, from my experience, like the individuals that maybe don't have those social supports, don't really feel as connected with others, or are facing like other barriers that can, yeah, really impact their mental health, and they might need a bit more support um, with learning to cope with that. So
And
yeah,
I would
long-winded answer.
no, it's good. And I would say we've seen that, Amy, as the kids have transitioned into different. I mean,
Yeah.
for us, honestly, one of the biggest anxiety areas is when they do have a change in lifestyle, whether it is moving into a different school or a different classroom. And I know we've had a lot of good teachers along the way in the public school system that have helped us transition. I guess Amy would know more about this than I do. So,
Well, and I just think too, they are more successful when they are transitioned into a place where they feel like they belong. So, like, the rest of the kids are accepting of them. They are aware of, like, they're all just kind of in a similar position, facing the similar struggles, but enjoying similar things together too. And so it's really nice when your child finally finds a place where they fit, and then suddenly some of these behaviors that you might have been seeing in another environment that was really stressing them out is now, hey, like, nobody's laughing at me in here, I don't have anybody to perform for anymore. Or like, hey, if I spit in this teacher's face, they're not going to put me in the hallway, they're just going to maybe tell me not to do that and sit and hang out with me and tell me what to do instead. Like, and so suddenly there's like just this, there's people who understand them better, adults who understand them better, and their peers understand them better too, or just seem to be more accepting of what's going on. The playing field just seems a little bit more level for them. And so I can definitely understand it, no matter what degree of how your diagnosis is affecting you, that your environment and your peer group and your family unit and all those other outside people that might not be your family but you consider your family, who help you along the way, definitely impact the mental health of clients and families of people with autism. Yeah, definitely. Would you say, if you had some advice for families just like beginning their journey with autism and mental health, is there kind of a standout that you might kind of a direction you might lead them in, or what advice would you give for families just sort of new to all of this?
Mhm. I think I think one piece of advice is for families to understand, like, that it's okay to accept help. Um, I think there are still many families that don't maybe tap into services or don't reach out for support because maybe they're still kind of working through the diagnosis and coming to terms with that and accepting that themselves, be it parents or the autistic individual. So I think always, like, letting families and clients know that it's okay to ask for help, that we are here to support and we want to support, and that we'll follow their lead as well. Like, usually we'll always like meet somebody where they're at, and services, we try to be as like flexible and adaptive as we can with all of the services we provide. Like, when you meet with someone on our team, it doesn't mean that you have to come in and meet with us every week for the next 6 months. Like, we can touch base whenever you want, and we will adapt things to kind of suit the needs. So I think, yeah, just allowing people to understand that it's okay to ask for help is important. But then I think another thing that's important too is helping parents especially understand kind of how to navigate everything, because it can be a lot, right? And you're applying for funding, you're being told to go to another place for an intake, and it can be a lot. So I think our intake workers and our consultants and mental health team, like, everyone here does a good job of like explaining and breaking down kind of what services can look like, and trying to make that more kind of digestible and easier to understand, and just kind of guiding them along that journey. Because, yeah, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah,
It can be a lot to
definitely.
process.
Like, with some support to lead you along, it's not so daunting. Like,
Yeah,
to try
yeah,
and be like, oh, now I got to phone this number and I don't even know if it's the right resource for me or what the process is, but they'll direct me to somebody else if they're not the right person. And so I really like that you have some just somebody that's going to be there to help a new family figure out what is available, because a lot of families miss what's available to them just because either they don't know the system or they don't understand how to navigate it. Like, I would say you would probably come across some pretty common barriers for families that are entering, like maybe they're new to Canada and they're dealing with a new autism diagnosis, or the socioeconomic differences that are in the city, like we don't have a vehicle to get to resources and services, or we don't have a social worker at this time who can point us in the right direction. And so it's nice that there's just kind of one umbrella unit that understands most of these agencies, at least, and can based on who walks in the door, direct you to the service that's probably going to match your needs the best. So
Yeah, I feel like
I
we
like
we
that.
try our best to meet families where they're at and be aware of all of those barriers and factors, um and yeah, trying to build a relationship too where families and clients feel comfortable sharing what those barriers are, because I think a lot of people face barriers and may not, when you might not be aware of it or might not know like right away until you get to know them. So it's I think, yeah, creating that safe place where people feel comfortable to share that too and to open up about those things is really important.
So I know, like, when we face, honestly, some of the most stressful areas for Amy and I are, honestly, the kids have grown into an area where they're too large to go to some of the, the play places and some of the things that were kind of our core areas for the kids. And now you kind of get those stares and you get the community assessment kind of when you go places. So from your standpoint, I mean, if we're talking to people who don't know anything about what families are going through, what does the community support piece of the whole mental health outcomes for dealing or being around children or even adults with autism?
Yeah, like I think having like feeling that sense of community is so important for anyone's mental health, and especially for autistic individuals where they might already be feeling at times like they're unaccepted, or that people don't understand them. Um, that yeah, finding that community that really will accept you and accept them is so important. So I think sometimes that means, yeah, like seeking out that community in different ways. Be that like for a lot of individuals, if you can kind of build that community around their interests, that can be really meaningful and really rewarding. So if that's like seeking out different social opportunities based on interests, or setting up groups or play dates based on interests or with other kiddos that have similar interests.
I
I think, yeah,
know.
building that sense of community is so important. But also the difficulty, yeah, if you're out in the kind of general community and people that don't get it right, and
Mhm.
people that are maybe unaccepting, and I think it's reminding yourself that you are doing a wonderful job and that you are doing the best thing for your kiddos at all times, and there's always going to be people that don't get it, unfortunately. But building the right
Yeah.
community of people that do get
I
it.
think too, like some of those recreational family programs that we were talking with Alex Scott about, that was definitely like hand in hand with mental health for kids too. Like, yes, it is a recreational outlet, it is a fun time, but it's also a place where you fit in. You don't have to worry about anything else. If somebody's having a bad day, who cares? It might be my kid tomorrow, it might be me tomorrow. Like, and so even just to like chat with parents that drop off and pick up at those places, you never know who you're going to run into. Or you meet a family and their child loves swimming just as much as your child loves swimming, and you start running into them outside of autism services at civic centers and whatever else, and kind of develop friendships that emerge from either like a structured peer group through mental health, or like a recreational program where you just meet. And I just find like, hey, whenever I go somewhere and I recognize that there are other special people that we know or even don't know somewhere, I'm like, hey, you know what? There's a family over there, there's a family over there, and who cares about the rest of the general public some days, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, my kids are 11 and 13, and we went to Wonder Hub one day, and there was a group of kids from a high school functional life skills classroom there, and I was so happy to see, like, hey, look at we we don't stand out in here super as much as we usually do today, because we have a bunch of friends with us that are in the exact same position, and everybody just had a really great day and actually integrated really well, and the general public didn't care. And like sometimes you do have a really great day with those kids and families that don't live with someone with a life on the spectrum, but they recognize that your child might not be responding verbally to the other kids playing with them, but they'll say to your kids, hey, go and chase that little guy because he really wants to run around with somebody. And then all of a sudden you got a little play group going. And so you never know, like some days, yeah, it is rough out there and you do get the looks and the stares, but then other days, sometimes you get a positive interaction or opportunity come your way too. And so we just kind of hope for more of those days when we go out on our outings together. But we don't want to take too much of your time, Olivia. It feels like we kind of got the gist of the system through Autism Services. I just had one more question for you. I don't know if you have anything to add, Evan, but I just wondered if there was like a story or moment kind of that stayed with you that relates to your position at Autism Services, or how mental health services has been successful for an individual or family that you would be able to share.
Like thankfully can think of a few success stories, and there's been so many like wonderful moments over like my time working here. I would say one kind of more recent so myself and our social worker, we facilitate the group for the adults on the spectrum, and just seeing the like relationships form and seeing them feel accepted and being able to unmask and being able to just be themselves in a group with other adults was just amazing to see. And just seeing them bond over interests, seeing them like just getting so excited talking about their interests and learning from each other, and just seeing I think the power of that peer support. And I think it like ties back into that like sense of community and like feeling accepted as part of the group, and that connection with others is so important. So whenever we are able to facilitate groups like that and see people come together, I think that's always amazing. But I can think of a few more like individual as well, just seeing people building skills and building confidence, and those like moments when people like understand like, oh, it's cool to be autistic. Like there's so many amazing like strengths that come from being autistic, and when people are so proud of their diagnosis, and lots of meaningful moments.
I thought she was closing down this podcast. I think she's taken over. I don't even have to be here anymore. So I've got
one too.
I've got one final question before we let you go, Olivia. So for me, what advice would you give to a family that not only I think we've already asked a bit of this question, but it's more, how do I phrase this? Sorry. What should parents and caregivers look out for, I guess, when it comes to the mental health side? So we always, obviously, when we're not talking about the spectrum, there's always signs and stuff you look for with just the public in general. But when you're dealing with autism specifically, what are some of the signs and stuff you should be looking for on the mental health spectrum side?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think we have to think about kind of what's like, we use the term like that baseline for a person, like what's their kind of normal, right? And anything that kind of veers away from that, so any like changes in behavior, mood, even communication, like any changes in general are always kind of like red flags, like something might be going on here. And so like depending on like the mental health concern, like there's kind of more specific signs we would look out for like anxiety versus depression, or other kind of more like formal diagnosis. But I think more generally when it comes to mental health, any changes, like especially changes in someone's mood, if they're not like enjoying the things that they usually do, like not engaging with their interests. And for some individuals, depending on their like communication skills, they might be able to share like, I'm not feeling good, or I'm experiencing this. But for some, if they're not speaking, then it's you kind of have to be more that detective as the parent or caregiver or support to really observe and see what are the changes that we're seeing at home or at school or wherever it might be. So I would say any changes really in behavior can be kind of some of those warning signs to chat with pediatrician or family doctor or any kind of supports about, just to get some advice. And it's no harm to, if you're connected here, to chat with your consultant or to ask for a referral to our mental health team, and we can support with that as well. And just determining kind of what is going on. Yeah.
Perfect. Any last remarks, Ames?
No, I'm good actually. Thanks.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I want to thank you again, Olivia, for being part of this, and obviously part of the community and care series that we're doing with Autism Services. And thank you for the work you're doing, I guess would be the final remarks. So
yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys inviting me on, and I enjoy your podcast, and I think it's great what you guys are doing, sharing this information, and really valuable for the community. So thank you.
good.
Well,
Much
thank you for
appreciated.
giving us your time today.
Yeah.
You bet.
Lovely to meet you.
And that's raising different.